Ladies and gentlemen, I have decided to bring it upon myself to fix the USA's boring state flag problem. Let's get right into it.
All right, here we are with our map of the United States currently, which will be changing soon. I'd like to make some prerequisites. If your state is either too small, too irrelevant, or needs to be combined with something, where I don't want to make you a solo flag, I will either delete you or combine you. Now, with that knowledge, let's get started. First off, we're going to start by saying everybody knows that California is floating away, so with that, we are just going to remove them. We're going to expedite that process, and they are gone. All right, now, sadly, we are going to have to go with some of the smaller states. So some of the states that are going to be removed from this map: Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and sadly, yes, we are going to have to get rid of the great state of Hawaii. But anyways, folks, here is our new landscape. We still have two islands, now Alaska and the new island of Maine in the top right corner there. Now with some of the states that we are going to have to combine, I'm going to start with the most obvious one, which would be the Dakotas. It is now just going to be called Dakota. Bang! So there is the new state of Dakota. Next, we are going to go over to the Virginias. I just can't do it where we have a West and a regular Virginia, so we might as well get rid of West. All right, there we are. And then also, we are going to have to combine the states of North and South Carolina. All right, now here is our new version of what the U.S. will look like, with the mainland and the new islands of Alaska and Maine. Let's get started with some new flags. Starting with Washington, they will now be represented by the $1 bill. This is going to be a great addition to the state, and I believe an absolutely beautiful way to represent this country's first president in George. Now moving on to Oregon. Now for Oregon, I was thinking of going with a more retro look. Maybe going with the Oregon Ducks, one of the only relevant things from that state, but instead we decided to go a little vintage with an 8-bit version of the Oregon Trail video game. This looks absolutely beautiful, resting right under the big Washington, and a great new start for an otherwise not very relevant state. Let's go down to one of my personal favorite new flags, and that is of the great state of Alaska. Known for a lot of beautiful wildlife, it's exactly why they're going to be represented by the Outdoor Boys logo. This is what everyone thinks of these days when you say Alaska, and I feel like everyone from Alaska will be perfectly fine being represented by Luke and his boys. Let's go to Nevada. Let's get a bit gamblish with it here. But it's not just going to be gambling. Like, we're not going to put some chips there. We're going to put one of the greatest movie gambling scenes of all time, and that will be the Hangover scene where they're gambling. This is one of the most beautiful pictures, one every friend group dreams of recreating somehow, and I'm loving it. To Idaho. Idaho, not a very known state, so we had to add a little pizzazz. One of the things they are known for is that blue turf, so we are going to have their new logo as the Boise State Broncos. Beautiful. It goes in there with the blue and orange, a beautiful little pop of color in the Western Hemisphere. And let's go down to Utah. Everyone knows, sadly, what Utah is known for, and I am going to be continuing that stereotype. The new flag of Utah is just Mormon flag. I don't want to be like this, but it's truly all I can think of for the state. Moving down one more to Arizona, they are going to be represented by Flo's V8 Cafe from Cars. Now, it might be not known, but the Cars universe, Radiator Springs, is actually set in Arizona. So Flo's V8 Cafe, one of the staples of the town, and it's going to be a beautiful new flag for Arizona. Now let's go one over to New Mexico, which is now actually going to be changing its name to Mexico. Can't be having a new version of Mexico and not just name it Mexico. So I don't know if the Mexico border is coming up and they're just kind of like a secondary citizenship state, or if, well, the entire Mexican population has to move in there and that is just the new country. And now there's some open territory below the U.S. I don't know, but their new flag is the Mexican flag. Beautiful. Let's go back up to Montana. This is a very big state, so we had to get a little bit of aura in the state. A little bit of a scare tactic, I might say. So for this one, we are going to have their new flag be the Roar Omega Roar flag. And I will be electing Johnny Worthington as the new governor of Montana. Now we'll go with a little tag team here of Colorado and Wyoming. First, we're going to start with Wyoming, whose new flag will be the Wyoming College flag. My goodness, is that beautiful. It could be one now, and I wouldn't take a second glance at it. Then right down to Colorado, their new flag will be Eric Cartman, Respect My Authority, college dorm flag. This is beautiful because South Park is actually located and set in Colorado, and Eric Cartman is an absolutely beautiful representation of what's going on down there. Now, this might be one you've all been waiting for, a new state, so you better be excited. It's not called South and North Dakota anymore, it's just Dakota, back to what it used to be when it was just a territory, and their new flag, since I didn't really want to do a fight between whether it should be the jackrabbit or the bison on here, I just made it both. It's now a jackrabbit and a bison arm wrestling with no clear winner yet. The flag could change, but for now, it is this beautiful picture of just that. Moving down a little bit now into what possibly could be my favorite flag because of the pop it has. In Texas, they are going to be represented by probably the greatest YouTube group of all time, the Dude Perfect logo. Looks absolutely beautiful filling in that Texas, and there ain't nothing like Texas, am I right? Probably going to say Tyler Toney is the new governor of the state. Let's go up one to Oklahoma. Obviously, Oklahoma proud of their Sooners, so their new flag will be a retro-style logo of the Oklahoma Sooners, as you can see by the little wagon there, and that's going to be beautiful. Moving up now to Kansas, I feel like this was a little tough. I could have gone with the Jayhawks in their logo, but I wanted to veer away from having two colleges right next to each other with the Sooners right below them. So I decided to go with their new flag is simply just the yellow brick road. A little shout out to Dorothy here and Kansas. This isn't the best work. We could have done better, but that's what they're going to get for now. Going up one more to finish off the western region of this map is going to be Nebraska, and they are going to be represented by this vintage Cornhusker. A big burly man there to represent the Cornhuskers. Moving on to actually my home state of Minnesota. They are going to be replacing whatever AI communist slop this flag is, and we are going to protest by going back to the original Minnesota flag. There is no racist connotation behind this, it's just simply much better and awesome. So we're going back to the old. Going down one now to Iowa, they are going to be represented by a new slang term with the kids, I'm told, a cornball. Now, they may feel insulted by this name, and honestly, I don't really care because anyone from Iowa, I don't know any. So, we're going to be moving on. Moving down one to Missouri, they are not really much going on down there that people are aware of, so they're going to be represented by the only thing that makes them relevant, Patrick Mahomes' new logo. He has carried that state in the past couple of years to a couple Super Bowls, making them actually known. So, Patrick, we are going to immortalize you with the new flag. Going down to Arkansas now, they will be represented by their new flag of the Walmart logo. They actually is where the first Walmart was founded and built, so they are now represented by corporate America, as in Walmart. Down one more to Louisiana, who will now have a new flag of Arthur Morgan. That is where Saint Denis in the game Red Dead Redemption 2 is based off of, so Arthur Morgan looks both awesome and great as their new flag, I'm sure of it. Going over now to Mississippi, whose new flag will be just a simple river flag. I really couldn't think of anything for this because the state is lame. Sorry if you live there, but I don't really care. Going up, we're going to go back up to the north here with Wisconsin, who is going to be represented by Guinness with their heavy drinking culture. I looked it up online, and they're one of the heaviest drinking places in America, so they will be represented by one of the coolest logos. You're welcome. Going down to Illinois, they will be led into battle by the Chicago Cubs alternate logo. I could have gone with the Cubs here, or maybe the Bears. I wasn't going to go with the Bulls, but this Cubs logo is sick, and the bear and a Cub are the same thing, basically, so we're going to go with that. Going one over to Michigan. This was actually one of the easier decisions because it's one of the coolest logos I've ever seen. Their new logo is the retro Detroit Pistons logo. Not only does this show off their great culture of cars in Detroit, the automotive business, but it also gets a sick horse on their flag. Down one here to Indiana, which will now be represented by the NBA. People say that Indiana is the birthplace and still is the state of basketball, so they will be represented by Jerry West and the NBA logo. Now we're going to go down to Kentucky, who will be represented and flown with Colonel Sanders on their name. KFC, everyone thinks of Kentucky Fried Chicken when you hear Kentucky, and it's finger-licking good, and that is a feeling good logo. We're going to go down back into the college realm of these flags. If you have a good college team or something awesome about your college, it's probably going to be your new flag, which is exactly what happens to Tennessee, as their new flag is the Tennessee Volunteers checkered kind of flag thing we got going on here. Nice little pattern to really bring that area together. Now let's go down to Alabama, who is also, I just couldn't bring myself to do anything but the Tide down there. They're represented by one of the coolest logos, the elephant and the A. The Crimson Tide are now the entire state of Alabama, because ain't nothing but the Tide. Let's go down and finish out this southern half with Florida, who is going to be represented by this Florida Man street sign. You always have to be aware of the Florida Man, and this immortalizes that in their state flag, who will be represented by the entire country of Georgia. I also, in this, will be making an executive order that anyone from Georgia now has free citizenship into only this state. If you're found outside, you are illegal, but if you're there, you own that place, so congratulations. We're going on to one of our new states now, Carolina, who is going to revert back to their original flag of Carolina with a little British shout out. I mean, we did actually kind of break off from them, so it's only fair that we give them a little shout out in one of our states' flags. So shout out the Brits. On to another one of our newly combined states, Virginia, known as one of the first colonies. So they are going to be represented by the original 13 colonies flag. A sick flag, almost American, but not exactly. So it's kind of a shout out to the roots of guys like Chris who got over here first. Now we're going to go up to the top here. I'm going to leave one of my favorites for last, so stay tuned. But we're going up to the top, Maine, our new island, which will be represented by the main event, Cooper flag and a girls' college dorm flag. A beautiful new logo for this beautiful state and beautiful new island. Let's go down now to New York, and to really show off this concrete jungle where things are made of, their new logo will be the Spider-Man. Spider-Man will be flown in every street of New York, and I think they'd be happy to represent Peter Parker. Into our final two now, Pennsylvania's new flag will be the Philadelphia Eagles flag. Maybe this will make people in Philadelphia stop riding all the time, because we got to find a solution, and this is a sick retro logo. Now, looking at our map here, we do only have one left, and that is Ohio. Nobody really knows what happens in Ohio, and truly you don't want to. So to make this great state what it should be, there's only one thing they could be represented by: LeBron James. The king has officially made it onto a flag alongside Cooper flag, the only two NBA players to do that ever. So congratulations to LeBron. You are Ohio. But anyways, folks, that is it. Every new flag. This is the new map of the United States, and I hope you absolutely enjoyed this. I feel like Donald Trump will probably have this as an executive order probably in the next week once he sees this video. I think it should be pretty easy to pass with Congress. And yeah, this is frickin' sick.